As the BRICS group of nations prepare to hold their annual meeting in South Africa, there have been several requests from some countries to join them. Some of the countries knocking on the doors include Saudi Arabia, Egypt, among others. And let's explore this further now. We've got a government and a business management consultant, Dr. Charles Sinkala. Dr. Sinkala, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. More countries are reportedly knocking on the doors. Will the members, though, in your view, open up?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Yes, indeed, this one time around in this year, I think it is the most historic one that also after post the ICC, International Criminal Court, issuing arrest warrant for one of the BRICS members, President Putin, and as well as we've got so much interest, about 19 countries, for that matter, would like to join the BRICS Council.
And I'm going to come back to that, arrest warrant in just a moment. But there have been concerns, as one reads up on this particular story, that, some of the countries or some of those, from the outside looking in, are worried that should maybe one country, for example, have more allies on board, that, there may be members now who are finding themselves with their influence being diluted. Is that much of a concern, even from as you're looking outside in?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, the BRICS actually has now emanated as one of the biggest organizations the world might have produced, as compared to the United Nations, as compared to the G7, as compared to the G20, and many other organizations which have been created on the basis of only certain countries who benefit from them. If you look at the numbers of the BRICS countries, at the moment, the combined they are about 3.3 billion in terms of population. Even the square miles or in terms of the capacity of their GDP is compared to almost half of the world's population GDP in terms of economic activities. So the prospects of being part of the BRICS organization, they are actually very high. That's why you see most of the countries, irrespective of being found to be an ally of Russia or being found to be an ally of India or any of the countries which forms part of BRICS, the risk is mitigated and is well calculated with the risk.
So I suppose then, in your view, the expansion could be a good idea.
Definitely, it's a good idea, and I think the world has been dominated with only the few individuals or countries from the West who has monopolized the financial services assistance to countries such as the World Bank, the IMF, who has very stringent conditions in terms of giving money to certain countries. And we saw what happened during the COVID pandemic, that certain countries, such as the African countries, are not allowed to develop or come up with vaccines to look after their people, and many other issues that has been violated, including the denial of Africa to have a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. I think this comes as an alternative, for though other people, they have considered this as a counter revolution against the West organizations. But I think it also stabilizes that there's an option as well of an organization such as BRICS that can look at the economics of the activities of nations. If you look at BRICS itself, they have already developed a BRICS Bank, which is actually headquartered in China.
And all of this, as you alluded to, Dr. Sinkala, earlier on this conversation, is that it's happening against the backdrop of the developments that we continue to see around the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and of course that arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court. How should the bloc handle this one?
They've done a lot of consultation, especially South Africa, the DECO, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Security Clusters. They have actually made a lot of legal consultations, to interpret that the exposure of that and the meaning of that arrest warrant against President Putin. And I think by late last week or just early this week, they have come to given a conclusion that, it is not possible for them to deny or to go against the Constitution of South Africa and as well as the international law, since South Africa is still codified in the parameters of the International Criminal Court. They do not want to look like what happened in 2016 for not arresting al-Bashir. They would like now to advise President Putin if he can pass this time and attend through either Zoom or any virtual platform, because it's too risky for him to come out of Russia at the moment.
Do you think he'll agree?
Definitely, because he understands as well that all this arrest warrant has been actually orchestrated for him to be arrested outside his country. And I think he's coming out of the country and coming to attend the BRICS summit in South Africa. They saw it as an opportunity for him to be arrested and tried against crimes against humanity. And I think his security cluster as well has recognized the risk, notwithstanding the fact that South Africa as well, it would be very difficult for them to resist to arrest him. But again, it is such an not really necessary for him if he can have an alternative to attend the meeting virtually, although he was supposed to be, as he's the major contributor to the BRICS organization, to be in South Africa with the other members states.
Dr. Sinkala, we're out of time. Thank you so much, though, for your time this afternoon. Do appreciate it. That was Dr. Charles Sinkala, Government and Business Management Consultant, as we look ahead now at the BRICS Summit.